Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Purdy Insurance. Visit Purdy Insurance on Market Street in Sunbury or visit online at purdyinsurance.com.
Great to have you with us on the show today. Brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Purdy's do everything they can for their clients, everything, okay? And it's important to have that kind of commitment from just really good people who know exactly what they're doing, and that is Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. We're in the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. All right, so now let's get to first of all, the Phillies were scheduled to play the Yankees tonight on Eagle 107. They're not going to play tonight, all right? Which is fine. I mean, that's you don't want this to happen, obviously. That's the last thing you want. You don't want it to happen. Okay, I got that part. And so, but at the same time, you've got to be able to look at the overall scope of this. Okay. And when you look at the overall scope of it, if you're naive enough to think, oh, this wasn't going to happen. We all knew this was going to happen at some point, right? I mean, no offense, but yeah, we knew it was going to happen. Everybody, I think, knew something was going to happen. Now, would you have preferred it to be Labor Day, where you feel like you got through 5 weeks and you can contain it and so forth? Yeah. The Marlins knew going in that into yesterday that I think they knew they had 3 or 4, something like that. Baseball is not going to stop unless it suddenly becomes all over the place. Then they'll stop. Right? Then they'll stop. But it's my opinion, baseball is not stopping. They're going to keep going here. And because they're going to keep going, I think that changes what everybody else is playing tonight. The Yankees and Phillies, if the Phillies come through and they test negative, they'll play the Yankees, but they may play them at Yankee Stadium instead. I think they're scheduled for a 4-game series this weekend, I believe. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to, just like the Blue Jays have to play on the road. They're playing Washington, tomorrow night? They're playing them on the road, even though they're supposed to be playing in Toronto. Well, Buffalo's not ready yet because they have to do a lot of things in Buffalo to get them ready to play. Well, just like the fact they're playing on the road, well, the Phillies may have to play on the road in this one and play the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Right now, you're just doing whatever you can to keep going. So let's see how, the Phillies turn out. Because the Yankees, of course, we already know they've, with their testing, they've tested negative. So now let's see how the Phillies are, especially after this. And then you move from there. The Orioles, well, the Orioles are going to go down to Miami. Well, you're not going to do that now. And there is a reason going into this. Again, you didn't want to deal with this on the opening weekend. Simple as that. You go through the opening weekend, you feel good about some things, you're able to get some stuff done. People felt good to have baseball back. A lot of items where you feel good about it. And then this happens, and suddenly the joy is completely taken away. Okay. But baseball's not going to stop after this, because right now it is contained to, at the moment, a team. And this is, this statement will sound cruel, but it's also factual. We all know why they came up with 60-man rosters. Now, unfortunately, the 60-man roster for the Marlins, with all due respect, I know the Marlins just took 2 out of 3 from the Phillies, but the Marlins 60-man roster, in terms of roster spots 20 through 60, a little bit different than other teams 20 through 60, which we understand. It's the way they wanted to craft their team. That's what it's how it is. But it's also a fact. But this is why you have 60-man rosters. They did not put 60-man rosters. I mean, just look at the Braves this past weekend. The Braves played the Mets. So they play the Mets, and 2 of their catchers they were concerned about. So since they had 2 of their catchers they were concerned about, they went to their 60-man roster, and they found 2 more catchers. Okay. Just explaining how it works. You have other games taking place in the majors this afternoon and this evening. They're playing. They're playing. Dodgers and Oakland get underway in 25 minutes. Arizona and San Diego get underway in 45 minutes. Toronto and Washington are playing at 6 down in D.C. Atlanta and Tampa Bay are playing at 6:40. Cincinnati and the Cubs are playing at 6:40. The Pirates are at home tonight, taking on the Brewers at 7:05. Seattle's at Houston. They're playing at 7:10. Kansas City's at Detroit, 7:10. Cleveland hosting the White Sox at 7:10. Red Sox and the Mets are at Fenway at 7:35. They're all playing tonight. You have a 60-game schedule here. Now, again, Yankees and Phillies, it's not – somebody said they're canceled. They are not canceled. They're postponed. And the same story with Baltimore and Miami. They're postponed. Now, Major League Baseball is not going to pause the season. They are not going to cancel the season. I'm talking about as of today, okay? But they're not going to pause. Rob Manfred and the owner. This is the other part. There's so many stories that come out of this. They're just dead wrong. All right? Let's start with this. The Marlins-Orioles canceled. No, it's postponed. Big difference. The owners are having an emergency meeting today. Probably all heard that one, right? No, it was the regularly scheduled weekly meeting that takes place on Mondays. Now, obviously, moving to the front of the list of things to talk about is what happened with the Marlins. Okay, now it turns out that weekly meeting takes on a different meaning because now you have to talk about what's going on with them and how to handle this. So Rob Manfred and the owners, they say they intend to redouble health directives, such as players wearing masks or facial coverings in the clubhouse, reinforce on-field behavior prohibitions. Because, there are some people out there high-fiving and so forth. I understand. And again, they're playing. As of right now, they are not going to pause either. Everybody else is playing tonight. So that's what they want to do. Now, Penn State football, let's get to that very quickly. Penn State football, let's get to the basics. Next testing results will come out Wednesday, so we'll see how that goes. Football today is headed into its 3rd walkthrough. They had a walkthrough Friday, a walkthrough Saturday, had yesterday off. Today is the 3rd walkthrough for football. Men's basketball goes into its 2nd week. They have already worked and done their scrimmage work for the day in their 1-hour workout earlier today. So that's what they've done. Today's show brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. And we're in the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. And online at sunburymotors.com. Matt Leon from Philadelphia, next half hour, here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Hi, this is Susan from Purdy Insurance. As we continue in the green phase per the governor's order, most of our staff continues to work from home to practice social distancing for the safety of our staff and clients. During this time, we are operating under the guidance of the insurance department. Our office remains available to service our current and new clients by phone by calling 570-286-5855, email, and by appointment. Our after-hours emergency service is also ready to assist our clients with their needs. From the team at Purdy Insurance, stay safe, be well, be kind, and know that we remain dedicated to the highest levels of service to protect what matters most.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is The Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Today's show brought to you by our great friends at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. We're now in a countdown, 9 days to go before we get to the Purdy Memorial Golf Tournament at the beautiful Susquehanna Valley Country Club. And by the way, the sales for that sold out. What a tribute to all of you to jump on board to help out this great cause. And we're looking forward to being there and doing the show there. And Purdy Insurance can take care of your insurance needs every day. Every day. Auto, home, life, business. They can save you money with bundles. They'll do anything they can to find you a way to save you money. They know it's important in life. They get it. Great. I mean, they're great people who are great professionals. Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. And we are in the Sunbury Motors studio. Talking about great professionals who are great people. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Lincoln, Kia, Hyundai, great deals to be had. Incredible pre-owned inventory. Fabulous sales staff. They work with you, and a service department that takes care of the life of that vehicle. All at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. And online at sunburymotors.com. All right, the Marlins will not play tonight against the Orioles. They're going to retest everybody again. The Orioles were supposed to go down there. I don't even think they went. And then the Yankees-Phillies game also postponed tonight after the Marlins news. And so you go from there. But Dodger President Stan Kasten said Major League Baseball, quote, expected an outbreak. Meanwhile, Major League Baseball had their weekly teleconference today with the owners. It was not an emergency meeting, as it was portrayed. It was their weekly conference call like they always have. And, of course, now what they had to do was put this to the front and had to deal with an emergency, which then brings us to what are they going to do about it? Right now, the Marlins home opener with the Orioles off. Phillies home game with the Yankees off, postponed. The Orioles are going to leave Miami Monday and head back to Baltimore. So in all likelihood, that's postponed. The Marlins are going to go straight from Philadelphia to Baltimore for their scheduled games Wednesday and Thursday. Those players and coaches in quarantine, they won't travel. And the Marlins released a statement on behalf of their CEO, Derek Jeter. Health of our players and staff has been and will continue to be our primary focus as we navigate through these uncharted waters. After a successful spring 2.0, we have now experienced challenges. Once we went on the road and left Miami, postponing tonight's home opener was the correct decision to ensure that we take collective pause and try to properly grasp the totality of the situation. All right. So that's what Derek Jeter said. So 2 games will be postponed tonight. Everybody else is playing. So with that, let's go to Philadelphia. Matt Leon joins us. My friend, it is always great to hear you on the other end.
Good to be with you.
Okay. So what now for the Phillies? Do they have to retest everybody before they're allowed to play the Yankees? How is this going to work?
It's a good question. From what I understand, players are going to the stadium today to be tested and then being told to go right home. And I guess we wait and see. Yeah. I don't know how people couldn't see this coming. Maybe not 3 days in, but, and it's a mess. But it's a mess. And I don't know where you go from here. I mean, you're going to have
right. Yeah.
You have an entire team now, basically, that's got an outbreak. Like, you've got infectious disease professionals kind of pointing and saying, this classifies as an outbreak within this team. So I don't know.
I guess what the Yankees were told that they completely disinfected the clubhouse, which is standard procedure. That was going to be the standard procedure anyway. But then the Yankees, I guess, sent their own people down just to make sure, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't know how comfortable you're going to feel. I mean, you've got, if there was one guy, I think you'd be able to say, okay, but last count I saw 14 positives between the players and the coaches. I wouldn't feel comfortable being told to go into that situation to spend your next 3 days, and not just an hour. You're going to be, in there for several hours of the day, and it's just the ripple effects of this.
Well, it's more than that, because usually when it comes to the road team hotel, it's one hotel. People don't usually switch up hotels. They all stay in the same hotel.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the road teams.
Right. That's a good point, too. So, this is the problem with a lot of the like we've had a lot of these conversations, and with every thread you pull, every question you get answered, you got 4 more questions. And, and we haven't even, this is all, we're just kind of talking logistics and stuff. What if somebody gets really sick?
Yeah.
When you're not doing this, trying to pull off what Major League Baseball and in the fall, the NFL are going to try to pull off without the bubble concept.
Right.
There's just so many things that can go wrong. And, for baseball, we're 3 games in, and here we are.
And by the way, the Yankees-Phillies game tonight is postponed. It is not canceled. So they did not cancel that game. It was postponed. Now, postponed to when? Who knows?
Right.
That's the next part. Now, the Eagles report to camp tomorrow, correct?
I think they've got some rookies actually coming in today, if I saw that correctly.
Okay. And they've worked out, again, same story, protocols. How important, to me, a lot of this is going to come down to opening weekend of the NFL. I mean, we just went through opening weekend in Major League Baseball. Opening weekend, I just saw, of course, we know the Pac-12 pushed back the start of their season, which will be a 10-game season starting September 19th. And my first thought was, geez, I think you got to get going and just play September 5th and go. But then I thought about this. I've got a feeling college football would like to see how the NFL does first.
Oh, I think everybody would love to see somebody else step out on the ledge and then be able to make their decision based on what else happened. I think the thing that football has going for it in this situation is you're talking about once a week and not every day.
Right.
So that helps as far as your protocols and being able to control things more. But I just keep coming back. If you're not going to do the bubble where everybody's in one place and you're able to really control who everybody comes in contact with. There's just so many variables. On a baseball team, you're talking 25 guys, on an NFL, 55, and in college football, 80 kids, young adults, who,
right.
They can say they're doing the right thing, but they're 19, 20 years old. And I'm gonna shock you here, Steve, but 19, 20-year-olds don't always make the best life decisions.
But
so
enough about your personal experience. Stan Kasten, who is the president of the Dodgers and who's had extensive experience between the Hawks and the Braves in his career, said, quote, "I don't believe there's going to be any panic just yet. I think we understood there might be occasions like this, which is why we had our player pool as big as it is, which is 60 players, before conceding that he didn't know what would happen with the Marlins, given that no one knows the full extent of the outbreak or when the league would make up the games." Now, he does make a point about the reason that you have 60 players is because you could do what the Braves did. They had, 2 catchers they weren't sure about, and they didn't travel them to New York. You're taking it, but I think for them, what really has to hurt them is it's opening weekend. You might have a different thought process if this was Labor Day. You know what I mean? In other words, hey, we played all these weeks, this finally happened. Instead, it happened out of the gate.
Well, and let me ask you, first of all, I think this accelerates. You had some big-name players that seemed like they were kind of on the fence whether or not they were going to play or not.
Yep.
I think you will see some bigger names opt out. And also, not for nothing, but, the Marlins are playing the Phillies. Didi Gregorius is wearing a mask playing because he has a kidney. How would you feel if he was him right now?
Yeah.
You just played 3 days, and like I said, it's baseball, separate clubhouses. I'm not smart enough to know how much but these guys played on Sunday knowing that there were at least some tests that were positive. I'd be pretty upset.
Yeah.
And, you start kind of building back from that, and, I would just really hate to have all this stop because eventually somebody gets very sick or, right, God forbid, passes away. Also, people could play baseball. I don't know. I get there's economic importance and stuff like that, but you start unwinding this and you see where it goes, and it's a tough needle to thread.
So we'll take this as obviously everybody's played 3, and there are all the other games are on for today. But at least for you, now we've spent a lot of time talking about what's happened and about threats and so forth. Did you find some enjoyment in watching some games this weekend?
Not with that Phillies bullpen, I did.
Nah.
I mean, it was nice to see. It was nice to see something to take your mind off it. Yeah. But you get, maybe you got 2-3 hours of enjoyment, but here we are.
Yeah, now
3 days into it, we're right back to the, threat assessment and concern about people getting sick, and it's just tough. But I think a lot of if we're going to talk strictly baseball, I think a lot of the Phillies' problems were exposed this weekend. The fact that Nick Pivetta and Vince Velasquez are still on the roster, and people continue to say, maybe this is the year that, no, it's not. It's not the year they put it together. We can go right to the end of that story. I can tell you how it ends.
That's okay. The Red Sox starting pitcher. I just say, okay, Eovaldi was fine. Then I'm looking the next 2 guys up. I'm like, I don't know. The Orioles beat him. And then here's one of the great stories of the day. Let's go to the NBA bubble. Kristaps Porzingis of the Mavericks didn't play in the scrimmage yesterday. Why? He forgot to get tested.
Wow.
How do you forget that?
And I would honestly think, I'm honestly surprised that the NBA would allow him to be in a position to forget. I would think they're going hotel room to hotel room, and, guys
exactly
get, not saying guys shouldn't be responsible, obviously, for something like that, but I would think they'd be almost militant in Guy comes down to eat. Okay, here we go. We're getting this.
Yeah.
Get this done, but
no, they don't come down to eat. They have the food delivered to their room. They do.
Well,
not.
then when it's delivered up, but
yeah,
and this is just another example of the challenges you're facing,
Sure.
and this is a team in a controlled environment, and it's a small hiccup, but
right.
it could turn into a big one.
Right, and what's going to happen is this: he has to stay in his room. He's being retested today. If he tests negative, he'll be able to go tomorrow. So.
Right.
That's how they're doing it. And by the way, Paul Millsap from the Nuggets, same thing with him. He forgot he was supposed to get tested before he went.
That's amazing. It really is.
Well, so yeah, that's how that plays out.
Yeah.
When the Sixers do get going, and they will get going this weekend. What do you think about their possibilities in all this? Because go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say their talent isn't the problem. But you've seen. Well, what's interesting with the Sixers this season specifically is they were so good at home and so terrible on the road, and it's amazing that a team that has the same people could have that type of discrepancy. But I think they could be a tough out. And if Ben Simmons, we've talked ad nauseum about the jump shot and the hesitancy to shoot. If he's gotten over that hurdle and has decided that it's going to be a regular part of his repertoire, if Joel Embiid can stay healthy, and I think he had a little calf soreness or something they're keeping an eye on, I wouldn't want to play him.
I think they're a tough out.
Yeah,
with Embiid, I like the move of Simmons up front because he does that means he doesn't have to. He can shoot. He can face up and hit a 15-footer. He's always had the ability to do that. And that spot on the floor, you do that, and you don't even think twice about it.
Oh, absolutely. And he can facilitate at any time. He doesn't need to be the quote-unquote point guard. Like
LeBron does with the Lakers. LeBron will play that point forward.
Yeah. I think the Sixers have the ability to beat anyone and go anywhere, and also the ability to lose in spectacular fashion way before they should.
In spectacular fashion way before they should.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking like, blowing a 27-point halftime lead to the Knicks or something like that.
Oh, I know.
So we'll see.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see who's able to get out of the gate after months off.
Yeah, that's same thing with hockey. Flyers were on fire when this all shut down. And who knows, because a lot of it was talent, but a lot of it was just momentum, confidence, and there's not really a playbook for starting up after 4 months, and you're not going to necessarily pick up where you left off. So,
well, if we were to not have you on for 4 months, I would have expected you to pick up where you left off.
Well, that's true.
But
I'm a once-in-a-generation talent.
Yeah, so. You are. No, you are a generational talent. And one that revealed that maybe between 19 and 22, you
no more questions.
You found ways to have a good time in life. How about that? That you're a fun person.
Absolutely.
My friend, it's always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
All right, take care, sir.
Matt Leon in Philadelphia. All right, we'll come back with more in a moment. Great to have you with us today. Brought to you by Purdy Insurance on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Hi, this is Susan from Purdy Insurance. As we continue in the green phase per the governor's order, most of our staff continues to work from home to practice social distancing for the safety of our staff and clients. During this time, we are operating under the guidance of the insurance department. Our office remains available to service our current and new clients by phone by calling 570-286-5855, email, and by appointment. Our after-hours emergency service is also ready to assist our clients with their needs. From the team at Purdy Insurance, stay safe, be well, be kind, and know that we remain dedicated to the highest levels of service to protect what matters most.
See, that's Mark's story. Mark has stylish shoes. Yeah. It's the way you are, man.
Listen, I wear Skechers and I love them. That's the truth.
Hey.
I'm wearing them right now.
Love how you operate, brother. Really. Matt will be back tomorrow. At least he claims he will be. I don't know. I mean, yeah, who knows? And
he looked like he was having fun on Lake Wallenpaupack yesterday, so we'll have to see if we can get him off the water.
Yeah, I know. It's, I've taken no time off in 13 months, but that's all right. But it's going really well, though. Okay. This is the last 90-degree day. How about that? Did you know that?
I just started, so who knows when I get off.
Yeah, I know, but you're doing a great job. I mean, we're going to be in the 80s, like the low to mid-80s, but like this is the last 90-plus degree day we're going to have.
Do you like this? Because I love it. I just came, I lived in Savannah for 3 years by choice, and I love it.
It's not a question of loving it. I think I love all the seasons. I love the fact I don't mind winter, fall. I think it's great. Spring, summer. Now, are there extremes I don't like? Yeah, I don't like going out if it's 10 below zero. I don't like when it's 90 plus degrees. I mean, that's just, you know what I mean. But that doesn't mean I don't love summer, and I love warm weather. That's great. Now, can it be oppressive? Yeah, sure. So somebody asked me the other day, they'll see me out in the golf course. Say, we always see you out here so late. Well, I always pick later in the day because at that point the sun's starting to go down. Just to go out and walk, play, and but not do it in such a way where you're being beaten down by the sun. I think that's the part I don't like. Being in the shade's great. I just don't like being beaten down by the sun. That's all. Today's show brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. And we're in the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Key Routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Frank Bodani, next half hour.